Welcome to the Rover, the Goodwin Rover sauna. This is our trailer sauna that we built over Christmas break. It just came back from a rental, so it's probably a little dirty, but yeah, we bought the trailer off Marketplace and built this thing from scratch. Right from the trailer frame. You have towel hooks, your little foyer. It's kind of like people actually really appreciate this area. They like having a little reset zone if they want to, come out of the sauna and not be directly out into the outside. Yeah, Charlie built this door from scratch. Same with the handles, but this was not a pre-made door, which a lot of them are. This one was fully made from scratch. Yeah, this thing is, we like to take this thing anywhere we want to go. It's called the Rover. It's smaller because we didn't want to be limited by where we could take it. We wanted to be able to take it out and go to camping spots, any sort of driveway. We want to go to literally anywhere, a little townhouse complex to a campground and up the Arowana. It's meant to go anywhere. We were only able to fit the lower benches, but it gets plenty hot in here. I think we get it up to about 180, 200 on a good day. We have lighting in here under the benches, so that's it's nice at night. And of course, the windows. You need windows. We take this to the lake, take it to the forest. I mean, it's pretty cool. I think that's a big part of the sauna experience, is being able to, appreciate where you are and where you end up taking this thing, because there's a lot of cool spots you can take this. Wood burning heater. Also essential, so that we were not limited by where we could go. This can go anywhere. I mean, it's been to a lot of very unique places already. A lot of places that we didn't know we could take it to. Those trial and error, it hasn't failed us yet. It's gone everywhere. And we love this thing. I love when I get to do sessions in this thing. When we love taking it down to the lake and just doing lake plunge sauna, lake plunge sauna. We'll do 4 or 5 rounds of it. It's the best. I love it so much.
Welcome back to the podcast. This is Creative X Community, where we examine the intersection between creativity and community. And I'm here today with Brian Goodwin, who we met on a floating sauna building and launching project. But he is an entrepreneur, avid snowboarder, creative person, and now owner of Goodwin Sauna, or co-owner.
Yep.
And what do I call you? Co-owner?
Co-founder. Yeah, we with co-founder. We don't like titles too much, but my buddy Charlie and I started it. So, yeah.
And co-founder of Goodwin Sauna Co., who are building some really cool projects. So I thought this would be an interesting conversation, because I feel like entrepreneurship is innately creative. And I kind of got that vibe when I met you. You just have a great energy about, just business and the things that you're doing. And you just seem like you have a real passion for the projects that you're working on. And the sauna project that we met on, this incredible floating sauna, was a feat unto itself. I mean, watching that thing go from land to sea or to the lake was pretty impressive. And all the social media leading up to it, where you were building the sauna for, I can't remember how many days, I thought was really cool. So before I babble on too much, maybe you can just tell me a little bit about yourself and just, how you ended up kind of here in Naramata and involved in the sauna building world.
Yeah, man, that was a fun place to meet you. Probably one of the higher anxiety days of my life, launching a floating sauna into the water, really just testing the boundaries of what we thought was possible, engineering wise, but also our skill set and trusting our design and our intuition. But I've gotten here because, we've, what do you want me, how far back do you want me to start? Do you want me to start?
I guess so you moved to Naramata somewhat recently, correct?
Yeah. So we moved to Naramata 3 years ago, and my wife and I, Alana, we've been on and off, honestly, for 13, 14 years. We've been dating for now 7 or 8, married for 3. And we had different milestones. And when we got the pregnancy news and we knew we were having our firstborn child, we really didn't know where we wanted to be. We we met in Whistler. We bought a home on Vancouver Island, did a bit of like a flip, renovate type of thing. And we knew we didn't want to be there and like raise children there. So like, where do we want to be? And we honestly didn't know. We're like, the island's great, but our whole life is on the mainland. Like, are we really going to be taking the ferry every couple weeks, month, whatever? So, we actually went back to Surrey where I was born and raised, and we rented a house in Ocean Park. We were there for 9 months for the birth of my firstborn son, but we knew we didn't want to be there. Like, this isn't us. It's city life kind of. Surrey's a big growing city, and we are much more mountain people that want to be outside, and we want to raise kids that are outside and doing all the activities that we did. And so we stumbled upon Naramata, and it was a light bulb moment. We were like, what is this place? Like, end of the road town. There's bike trails behind us. There's a lake out front. There's Apex Ski Resort 40 minutes away. I'm like, you have boxes that you're trying to tick, and it ticked every single box. In that time, moving, it comes with new jobs, new opportunities. And I was working as a regional manager for a vacation rental business, handling, Vancouver Island territory, Tofino, Ucluelet. I managed 5 places in Kelowna. I had some places scattered around Vancouver, and I didn't really 100% agree with the direction that they were going. Very like tech driven, not so much hospitality driven. So that move really was like the time to be like, it's time for me to start my entrepreneurial journey. Like, it's time for me to start, almost like fueling my frustrations from all my past jobs, to be like, put your money where your mouth is, to like, it's time for me to go do this now. So with the move, with the birth, with everything came starting my first company, Good Stay Property Co. Yeah. And it's funny. Like, I told everybody for a year before I had my first client that I owned a property management company. I was like, yeah, I own or Good Stay Property Co. This is my business. I own it. I didn't have a single client. There was nobody, there's nothing going on. I had nothing. I had a logo and a website, and, but I just felt so passionate. I was like, this is my business. I own this business. I don't care if I have a client. And, yeah, that's how it all started. And then from there, it's been other ventures. Yeah.
But I think that's interesting, right? And there's 2 ways of doing a business. One is, you already kind of stumble into it and you're making money, and now you're trying to figure out how to turn it into a real business, or if it becomes one. And the other one is like, you have a vision and you want it to come to life, and you may have nothing going on yet. You've got to sell the first thing. Doesn't negate the fact that it's still your business. You put all this energy into it, and you've built a brand, and you're different maybe in the sense for you because you already had that experience. You weren't coming in as some fly-by-night person with no experience and no idea what you're getting yourself into. You already had that background. And so eventually, moving to a new place, you were going to have to get a first client. I mean, it wasn't...
I think you just nailed something. And that's what kind of... A lot of great businesses, and, mine's still fairly new, but like a lot of great businesses are started from solving a personal frustration, a personal problem that you feel passionate about to want to fix. And I'm not trying to bash my last business or anything, or the last company that I worked for, but like, I just knew I could do it better, and I was frustrated by how they were doing things. And that gave me the fuel to be like, I know I can do this at a higher level, or maybe not even higher, but just my way, and have all that conviction behind how I do things, because I've seen the other side, and this is how I want to do it. So, you have to have that fuel, or else you're not going to tell people for a year that you still own a business. You have to have the fuel behind you to be like, I want this, and this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And I literally cannot wait to get my first client, because I'm going to crush it, and it's going to be awesome.
Do you find it kind of ironic that you moved to, a fairly small place, kind of at the end of a road with not a huge population, to start a business like that? I mean,
yeah.
But I guess it's not unlike, you were managing places in Tofino or Ucluelet, the same kind of idea. Like, there's not a lot of people there either, but your entrepreneurial journey didn't start necessarily in the city, even though that's where the background is. It's like you moved about as far as you could, and then, threw yourself in the ring and was like, let's go.
Yeah. I think people look at small towns as having less opportunity. I think a lot of times there's more. think there's more gaps to fill, less saturated. Especially with a town like this, there is a lot of tourism here in the summer months. The wine industry is amazing. It's such a cool aspect of living here. Is I look at every winery as an entrepreneur. Like they're just farming entrepreneurs. They're not maybe in tech or doing things that are on screens. They're in there farming and creating this amazing product from their hands and their hard work. And that's fuels me big time, is like looking at everybody around me right now in Naramata wine country as being fellow entrepreneurs that are trying to build a business out of their dreams.
On that kind of note, how do you think, being in Naramata and I guess by extension Penticton has shaped your kind of entrepreneurial journey so far?
I think this area has an amazing energy, and like there's a lot of there's something else to be said. So if you live in a small town, like maybe there isn't as many jobs, and maybe you have to find your own business. And like I've seen people move here and have to move away because they couldn't find their job, and maybe they didn't have a business idea or the drive to start their own business. So they end up moving back to Kelowna or back to the city or further. And that's been something real that I've noticed a lot is sometimes if you want to move somewhere smaller, like you have to find your lane.
I think there's an interesting sense too, that like almost when you have too many options, you kind of get that analysis paralysis where there's just too much going on. It's hard to find a lane. It's hard to make decisions because there are infinite possibilities. I think when you narrow some of those, which is kind of what happens when you move to a smaller community, things become slightly more clear. And I mean, you could take that by extension into personal lives too, where there's just a little more focus on certain things because you don't have infinite possibility. And when I moved here, it was 2006. I masqueraded that I still lived in the city for quite a while. I'd already started a business, but I was kind of tiptoeing my way out of the movie industry, thinking that like, okay, maybe I'll just go down there every couple of weeks and work and come back here for a couple of weeks. And quickly some other opportunities came up, but they were traveling far away. And I pretended I lived in Vancouver because I didn't want people to think that I wasn't a city guy or that I wasn't good enough.
Not being serious about your career. Yeah.
And it was kind of unheard of to just like vanquish yourself to like a small town at that point. And there was a lot of limitations technologically. But I think being here really shaped how I built the rest of my business and the rest of my career, because I was constantly having to travel, and I work with people that would bring, a huge desktop computer to do their editing to a hotel room or to like a site where we were working. And I would just show up with a laptop and everyone's like, you can do that? And even all of those little choices, just over the years, I was trying to get everything smaller, lighter, more agile, more nimble. And a lot of my colleagues were going the other way, like bigger, more, more gear, more sort of impressive looking when you show up to set. And like, I've had projects where I showed up with very little things and almost got treated poorly because they were like, that's it. Like, we hired this guy and brought him all the way here to just bring that. Like, it doesn't seem like much, but it forces you to work in a different way and use a different skill. And I think that was hugely influential. And now I look at how I'm able to work, and I do feel like I'm quite agile and nimble and can move around the world very easily with a lot of equipment or not a lot of equipment, and produce things that are of a high quality without having to drag everything under the sun. Like, you get used to working with limited options. And I think if I hadn't moved here, I wouldn't have built a business that way. I would have been stuck in a more traditional filmmaking mentality where you've got a huge truck full of things and you work from that. And I think, that small community was, maybe not intentionally driving that decision, but it really set me up for a kind of long and prosperous journey where, I was doing things differently. And I think that's also something that is good, right?
I think that's, you hit a couple of things there that I think, dinged off my brain. I think definitely like less distraction, less vanity. Like, you almost become more grounded here in terms of like what you really care about, because you're not being persuaded to like dress a certain way or have a certain status. Like, people don't care about that here. So you almost become more realistic about like what you actually want. And that's a cool part about living in smaller towns that I noticed. I get caught up at the keeping up the Joneses thing. It's like, what kind of car are they driving? And I don't even feel like I'm one of those guys, but I definitely in a certain sense got that. And here you're like, what do I actually need? like maybe I don't need all these random like flashy things.
Isn't it funny though when you see, in the area we live in, there is some fairly well-to-do people, but often they're driving like a, 15-year-old Tacoma or
Yep.
just,
normal, like either farm clothes or just like, like normal clothes, just a normal dude. And you're like, oh, that guy sold his business for $100 million. You're like, okay, right, sweet. But,
and there's another thing too, where, I've been here a little longer than you have. And I feel like there's points now where I have to remind myself that it's okay to dress up a little.
Yeah.
Because you get so comfortable that it's like, oh, whatever.
It's kind of fun though, like to be like, oh, we're like going out for dinner or going to like a birthday party or something like that. And you're like, oh, cool. Like we're actually going to try. But, yeah, it just, I don't know. Everyone's biased. I just think that like this fueled so much positive energy for me coming out here. And I'd lived in Whistler, Sea to Sky, Squamish, the island. And, it's like, I wasn't really new to like a small community vibe, but like, there was something here that just sparked a lot of positive energy and allowed me to ditch things that I maybe didn't need. Like my life's objectively gotten simpler since I've lived here with less vanity.
I can totally see that. And how do you think the community, well, one, how has the community received you as a relatively newcomer? You came at a time too where there was a lot of influx of people, post-pandemic. People were making choices to move to smaller communities and that's met with different feelings in a small area. But, how have you been received? And then also how has the community kind of supported you in starting a business? And
I think we came with the right intentions, and I don't know if everyone does, but we came being like, we want to be in a small community because we want to get involved. Like we're not just looking to just sponge off of it. It's like, I went to the fire hall meetings. I sponsor every event that I can. I went to every event I could and like met people like that I think were on the same wavelength and made the effort to get to know them and support what they were doing and just like made the effort really. Like I think when you live in a community, a smaller community, there is a certain level of responsibility to be proactive about getting things done. Like in cities, you can kind of get a bit lost in, oh, there's 2 million people. Like I don't really need to go do that thing. And I think when you're in a small town, you're like, well, no one else is going to do it, so we have to do it. And I think being proactive in that way, if you're making the community better, then you'll be well received. But if you're going to come in and try and take advantage of people, place, things, it's probably not going to work out well. We had some amazing friends that were well connected in town that got us, right into the friendly faces, and that also helped too. Charlie, I knew him before, and now he's my business partner. But yeah, it's you guys come in with the right intentions.
My dream was to live in Naramata, and since I ended up moving to Penticton, but I was always eyeing up moving down the road. It's not that far, but I feel like it's quite a different feel. And then I finally met somebody that would make that possible potentially, because she is, dynasty Naramata 5th generation kind of type. And she's just like, no, we're not living in Naramata. It's like, okay, I guess that's settled then. So it's okay. But we have a nice family situation in Naramata and we get to spend a lot of time here. And obviously it's not far away. So during the summer, especially, we'll come out and, hang out at the Naramata market and go to the beach with the family. Yeah. And I've always enjoyed this place.
It does seem like people that grew up here, maybe look to move elsewhere. And that's maybe another catalyst of growing up with raising kids in a small town. Maybe they just have that urge to leave and not come back. But as a newcomer, I love the energy, and I would hope that my kids end up living here, leaving. I hope they leave, travel, go do their own thing, but I want them to come back.
For sure.
Either Penticton or Naramata, but like, I do hope that we foster a lifestyle that they appreciate once they get old enough to reflect on it after traveling and doing their own thing, maybe getting a job in the city, going to that and be like, you know what? I see why they moved there. And now it's time for me to have kids, or by the time you settle down a little bit, like I'm going to go back.
As a fellow dad, I see completely eye to eye on that. That's sort of how I feel about my kids. I'm like, go out in the world, do your thing, explore, see what possibilities are out there. And if you want to come back here, which I hope you do, there's always somewhere for you to be. And it's a great place to end up. And it might be a hard place to start a career from the beginning, especially if you've grown up here. But for me, this was my big journey. This was my adventure to move to a smaller community. A lot of people go from the small community to the big city. That's their adventure. But for me, it was the other way around. Yep. And I never left, really. Like, it just became home, and it always felt like home. And yeah, it's just a wonderful place to be. And I think, from a creative standpoint, I think Naramata in particular is a very eclectic, creative community with a lot of support for the arts and for entrepreneurial ideas, and just has a really neat kind of feel about it. And I don't know that you can get that everywhere, right?
I feel that. Yeah. And like that's probably what drew us in. Cause I mean, there's a lot of small towns in BC, and we were pretty open to moving to, and I don't even know if we really put like a distance on it. We were kind of looking for more of a vibe. Like we're looking for more of like we're going to spend the rest of our lives here, raise kids here. Like it has to feel right. And that's probably how I make a lot of my decisions, is intuition. But like, we felt something here. We're like, there's something that just makes sense. And honestly, I've never had a day where I regretted this, or, any sort of negative thoughts about this place at all. It's always been positive and gratitude. And, yeah, I think it's important. I think it's important to like find that energy. I think our life got better after moving here. And, you're almost like, not that we would have moved here earlier, but like, you almost like just hope that everyone can kind of find their vibe, find where they're supposed to be.
Well, we're also so connected in different ways than we used to be. And even going back 10 years, let alone 20 or 30, it's like the way that we receive information and are able to connect with people all over the world is totally different. And I feel like that alone just makes it more possible to live in more remote communities, because you're not isolated in the same way that you would have been 30 years ago. It's all right there, and travel is more accessible, information's more accessible, culture's more accessible. And I think, it's a lot easier to move somewhere smaller now. I mean, not without its challenges, but it's I think going to become more and more common, because cities are busy and crowded, and there's a lot going on. It's expensive.
Yeah.
And everybody needs a next frontier, right? So
I do a lot of Zoom calls. I do. All my clients live elsewhere, most of them. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty easy to, extend your business depending on what you're in. You can get creative and move around a lot more. And that's cool. It opens up a lot of doors to, maybe moving somewhere smaller. I think the small town boom is going to happen. I think there's gonna be a lot of small towns that are going to find a lot of different demographics that traditionally would live there, starting to just maybe be drawn to mountains, nature, whatever is drawing them into the smaller community. But I think there's gonna be a bit of a quote unquote boom that's going to happen over the next we call it 10 years.
I would say it's subtle, but there's like a richness to smaller communities. It's not like what it's not how you describe like going to Brooklyn or something where there's a richness there, but there's a richness in small communities that's sort of untouched still. And when you go to some of these smaller places, whether it's here or even just on the other side of the border in Washington, you go to some of the small towns and you're like, wow.
It also feels more real.
It's like going back in time, and there's something there that hasn't been touched for decades, and there's just so much potential. And I don't know. Yeah, it feels like there's pent up energy in all those places waiting for.
I think I got here, and maybe it was just like the pressure of having a young family, and finally decide. Like, I mean, who says like, oh, my wife's pregnant, I'm going to quit my job and start my own business? Like, it's not like the smart thing to do, but like I had the intuition, I had the drive, the vision, all that stuff made sense to me. So I came in here with a full tank of gas, ready to just come here and hopefully make things better. But like, there was no like, oh, it's sleepy here, I was like, no, I'm ready to go. There are so many things that can be done here. And I think the community needs this and the community needs that. And like, oh, who's doing that? Oh, let's do it. Like, it's like, it was just this, I have a list so long of things that I want to do. And it's like, just one thing at a time, I
think you and I are similar that way. It's like, there's an energy around the sort of, seeing opportunity everywhere and the creative aspect of that, and wanting to create something from it, or from the idea, or solve a problem, or it's endless.
It is endless. Like my wife, she thinks I'm a crazy person. She's like, what business are you starting this week? And it's like, it's funny because it's like, I just get so excited, and I'm like, and some things take off and some things don't, but like, I just truly love that problem solving, filling gaps kind of thing. And as long as it's authentic and it feels good, like, why not? just do it. Like, whatever. Like,
I love that you have the energy like that. I mean, yeah, my family got me a book years ago and the kids wrote on the front of it, it's like Chris's idea book, because apparently it just goes on and on and on. So it's just filled with ridiculous things, but some of them are, I mean, they could be tangible.
And so I guess like, if we're going to talk about like how ideas become to fruition, it's like a lot of times you have these ideas and there's real tangible ways to make them happen. And like, a lot of times it's just problem solving. Like we were saying, like finding something that you're passionate about to go and do better or do different or whatever. But like, if there's a synergy with what you're already doing, then it's very feasible to go in there and like just do something, almost add it on to your current business. It's like, it doesn't have to be this, like, all right, if you're only running 5 businesses, they might all be in the same industry. They might all be like complementary of each other. And I think that's also very fun, is like having ideas that are different, but like complementary. So you're like, I'm not necessarily going to like start a restaurant here, start a rental business here, to start like, like they're all the stuff I'm doing right now has transferable, synergies. There's a lot of connecting dots.
Yeah, they're related. It makes sense.
It's like these ideas seem crazy, and there's like, we're starting a lot of businesses, but like, it's because we're solving problems. And then we're like, okay, well, if we have this problem, someone else probably has that problem, and let's try and help them. Like, we can build systems now to take this to the market and help them also do that. It's a pain point in our industry, not in our particular business.
Right. Tell me about the sauna business. So, I love architectural things. I love design. I am a visual person. I really appreciate like well-made things. And obviously there's like a movement right now that's happening around wellness, and saunas are pretty common in other parts of the world, but I feel like around here are just starting to take flight, and it's a really kind of cool one. They're cool designs and they're neat, and the building of it is super creative and interesting. But yeah, tell me, like, how did you come to that idea, and what made you want to start a business from it?
I could talk about saunas all day. I just love saunas. I mean, the sauna business was never a business. It was, if you want to talk about going like, I started saunaing because I was starting a businesses, families, and I was tired, and I was like, and I was trying to find outlets that would make me feel better and make me healthier. And like, I've tried all sorts of things. I quit drinking. I didn't have a drop for a year just to like try and optimize my energy. And like, okay, if I run and I do the gym, and one winter I was like, I'm listening to Huberman a lot, listening to Gary Brecka. Like, they really seem to rave about these cold plunges. So sure, I got a cold plunge off Amazon, I think like $100, like filled up with hose water, and put it on my patio. Started January. It was probably like a December purchase. Started doing it in January. Broke through the ice every morning, sat in there for 3 minutes every day for 45 days. 3 minutes on the dot, or 3 to 5. And I just felt so good. I was like, I did it every morning before my work day, and I would just go in like ready to pounce on like my work day. And I was like, I just felt amazing. And then just so happened that this home that we're in has a 1975 sauna in the basement, or in the suite, and it's nothing special. It's a 2-person sauna, but I was like, I should probably start, doing these together. I should really start, doing the contrast therapy. So yeah, I started sauning and then finishing on a cold plunge, and it's like exponentially better. Like, I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. Like, the dopamine that fuels you for the start of your day. It was just like, I was looking forward to it. And it's not easy. Like, it's not easy to do, but like that feeling afterwards, it made my life better. Like, my work was better. My mood were better. Like, I didn't crave, bad dopamine. I wanted good dopamine. And it was just this shift. And I was like, I need to like show my buddies this. Like, people need to start doing this with me. So I brought Charlie in. Charlie was in a bit of a funk, just probably working too much, family life, just normal stuff. And it's like, dude, I think we started going for think we started going for jogs. I think we started like, let's do 6 a.m. We'll do a 6 a.m. run, come back here, sauna cold plunge before work, and do it twice a week. We'll do it every Tuesday, Thursday. Well, same thing with him. He was just like, this is a game changer, dude. Like, I cannot wait for my Tuesday, Thursday trail run, sauna cold plunge session before work. And I think that like energy we took into it was like, we need to bring this to more, like, people need to know about this. Like, this is incredible. And yeah, so the trailer sauna, like, we just bought a trailer off Marketplace, and like, we can just bring this to the lake. We can show our friends. We can take it to people. Like, let's just do it. Whatever. One Christmas break, it must have been, was it a year? Yeah, just over a year ago. Christmas break, a year and a half ago, or a year and change ago. We just spent the whole Christmas break building it. So got the trailer, brought the material, and just Boxing Day started building it. And yeah, it just, again, people just loved it. And it's like, what do we do next? Floating sauna. But like, it really came from an organic place of being like, this is making my life better. Is that long-winded?
No, that's great. And I love how much energy you have for it, because I came to cold plunging completely by accident. And I guess I hate to say, maybe I have a skeptical bone in my body somewhere. So when I start hearing a lot about something, instantly I'm like, oh, is this just trendy, or what is it? And so, I'd heard about cold plunging, and maybe saunaing like wasn't really at the forefront at that point yet. But I didn't really believe, I guess, that would be I was like, that seems kind of crazy.
Yep.
So one time I had to do a photo shoot in November, and it was supposed to be summer, and it had been a smoky year here, and I had to drag this thing out into November, and somebody had to fall in the lake. That was kind of the whole gag of this whole video. And I couldn't really ask anybody else to do it because it was freezing, but it still looked like summer enough. So I volunteered to do it. No. So I was like, fine, I got to get this shot. I guess I'm just going to have to fall in the lake, whatever. Like, I'm not going to get paid unless I finish this thing. So I went and, fell off this paddleboard multiple times into the lake. Probably spent like 20 minutes in the November lake, which is maybe not quite a January lake, but still cold.
Very cold.
Very cold. And I remember I was on the brink of being sick before that. And I remember telling my partner, I was just like, you know what? This is going to finish me off. I'm going to be down for the count. I'm going to have the worst man cold ever after this. There's no way I'm not. And I came out of there feeling like, well, one, very cold, but then just like kind of on fire a little bit.
Yeah.
And I remember going home being like, I feel amazing. I have so much energy. This is ridiculous. And didn't get sick. In fact, the total opposite.
Yep. Yeah.
Got better. I was like, okay, there's something to this that I can't put my finger on it, but there is something to this.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. It's very real. It becomes very real. And you're like, you have all these thoughts in your brain of like, I'm going to be so cold, and then I'm going to be like so cold after, and it's gonna be so uncomfortable. And like, you just like all these negative thoughts towards it. But like, ironically, you get out of that water and the air feels warmer. You feel like you don't even really need to put your clothes on. You're like, I guess I will, but like, I feel pretty good. And then like that like dopamine hit that lasts for like 2-3 hours after, like, it's just euphoric and you feel amazing. But like in a good, like motivated, you're like, I'm good. Like, I want to do stuff right now.
The weird thing though, is that I can't bring myself to do it. Mm-hmm. Like in the shower, for example, like a cold shower. I can't torture myself like that. I don't have a plunging thing, and I'm curious about this all. But yeah, if I jump in the lake, like polar bear plunge, photo shoot, intentional dunking, sure. But for some reason, at home, I struggle with the idea. And maybe if I had a vessel to do it, I could commit to it. But yeah, just standing there in the cold shower, I last maybe like 20 seconds. It just doesn't do it for me. But yeah, if I go in the lake in January, then I'm like, okay, I'm in, right?
I think it's important to find, like, in this whole space, and we obviously run a commercial sauna now, and we try and give this experience to other people. Like, you have to also make sure that it feels good to you. Like, you can't just be like, I'm gonna do what Wim Hof is doing. Like, it's like there's levels to all this. Like, it's like you want to be like, push yourself but stay comfortable. And I'm not going to say like I enjoy cold plunging. I actually, quite the opposite, like kind of dread it when I'm in it, and when I'm looking over this cold plunge every day, trying to be like, all right, 3 minutes, it's nothing. It's nothing. I can do 3 minutes. I don't ever look forward to it. In the sense of like, I look forward to after. I always look forward to that feeling of getting out of it. And like, I think after doing it now for, a couple of years for sure, consistently, it's like, I do just value the feeling of getting out more than I hate the feeling of getting in. If that makes sense.
I guess it's kind of like running. I mean, I've run my whole life, and I guess it always created some kind of runner's high even when I was a kid. And at that time, that was a way of kind of belonging to something maybe that, I wasn't a team sports guy. So I just kind of fit into this other weird little community that it was wonderful and set me up on a great path for the rest of my life. But I continue to run. I still run to this day. But I never go running and feel like, woohoo, yeah, I'm running.
So true.
Oh my goodness. Like, it's not that, right? Mountain biking has that. Snowboarding has that.
Totally.
Getting on a roller coaster has that. Like, there's sort of an adrenaline rush. There's like an actual woohoo fun factor to it. Running doesn't really have that. But the feeling while running sometimes, and then certainly after running, is worth it. And I guess maybe I've just been conditioned to know that because I try to get myself in the habit of running. And when I'm in that habit, it's just sort of an unbreakable routine that I wouldn't say even that I enjoy, but is necessary in some way.
I think that I haven't been running my whole life, but I started running a couple of years ago, and now I've built it into my, my routine. Definitely a few times a week, maybe sometimes every day. But like, I feel like there's similarities. Like that feeling of running, I don't enjoy running either. I really don't. Like, we're gonna go for a trail run after this. Like, I'm not gonna enjoy it. Like, I'll enjoy the scenery, but that feeling of like being done and like being in nature for that like half an hour, like whatever you're doing, like it's like something taps into me afterwards. I don't know what it is, but during I'm always like, why am I doing this? Like, I'm tired. My legs are sore. Like, I'm like trail running is like, at least you're going through the trails and you're in the trees. And like, there's a lot of like, jumping off rocks. Like, it's like there's fun things about it, but like, it's hard. And it's like that hard thing you just get through to be like, I know I'm going to feel amazing after. And 10 out of 10 times I finish that run and I'm like, I kind of want to do another one.
There's
like,
also,
why do I want to go for another run? But like,
there's also like a weird sense of accomplishment about it. And I can't really figure this out, but it provides sort of like a structure around achievement for me, because maybe you start a business, maybe you're doing something else in your life that requires like effort that eventually will pay off with that feeling of accomplishment, but it's not like an immediate thing. And so I don't know, something about running just, I feel like really keeps me on track and keeps my brain focused and gives me that thing to chew on, like almost like a dog with a bone. Like I need something to like dig into, or else and running provides that. And it's weird because I'm at a point now where I'm not particularly fast. I'm a dad. I've got a business. I've got family. It's not my priority. And so I'm not delusional about my prospects of going to like a local running race and winning or anything. I don't even care about that. But relative to my own self, I just want to feel like I've done well at something, and I don't know what it is, but running sort of provides that. And that sort of marker is always moving. It's not like it has to be this all the time. Like one time of the year, I might be like, oh, I need to run 10K in, this amount of time. And then later in the year, it might be completely different, but it's sort of relative to where I'm at the moment. I'm just trying to like move the needle a tiny bit. And I just need the feeling that I did it, or I got close, or at least I tried. I don't know why.
I think I experienced that last year because like I definitely started running, and I never really been a runner at all. Definitely like I played sports, so I always ran as part of like training or something, but like never just did it for fun. And then last year I was like, I'm going to run a couple half marathons. So last year I ran a road half marathon in the spring, and then I did a 25K trail run in the fall. And both times I finished those, and I was like, I could do anything. And like, I know it's like those guys out there running like 100K races, 240 mile, like it's crazy what they're doing. But like, I just remember finishing that race and being like, oh, like I did it. I can go that other thing I've been meaning to do. Like I'm going to tackle it. I can do it. Like this confidence that came out, and I was like, I wasn't expecting that. I thought I would just be like, oh, cool. Like I ran further than I normally do. And whatever, but like just finishing it and finishing that goal and like, especially the trail race. That was right before the floating sauna build, like a week before we started. And it was the furthest I'd ever ran. It was a full trail race, like heavy uphills, heavy downhills. Like, it was definitely dynamic. I was like crawling up some like rock faces at times. And it was just like, that was a hard one. And yeah, finishing that, I was like, I got this build. Like if I could do that, the way, and I was happy with how I did. And I was like, I can tackle this floating sauna. And I took that confidence into that build for sure.
There's something about like creativity. This is like a whole sidebar conversation probably, but I don't think people think of creativity as being competitive. Mm-hmm. But I feel like creative people are sort of naturally somewhat competitive, and there's kind of I don't know, like there's a performance aspect to creativity as well. And so I think maybe that's where that stuff in running and things come from too, where it's like, yeah, you don't have to win, but there's something about the idea of bettering yourself or just going that one step further or one little bit better every time that is part of the creative process.
Yeah.
And it's weird because I don't think a lot of creative people see themselves as being overly competitive, but I think they are.
I think it's super healthy to like find your limits. And I think there's a lot of fulfillment that comes from like pushing a limit and then be like, oh, I can do more. And then like having the motivation or the, to like put that limit further and to always be raising that bar. And not to say that like, I don't think everyone has to be like chasing a 1%er type thing, but it's super healthy to have ambitious goals and to always be trying to move that bar. There's guys out there, I can't remember what it's called, but they're, I'm listening to podcasts lately and I wish I remember what it was called. It's a Japanese.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about.
Where like every year you should have a goal. That's like,
maybe I don't know what it is.
It's basically like every year you should have a goal that's 50-50 completing, like completion of rate of 50-50. Like, I don't know if I'm going to do it. Like it's out of my current limit, but like, I'm going to try. And it should be something, I can't remember. It's,
is it the same thing as like the sort of continuous improvement?
Yeah.
Not Kaizen, but
it's not Kaizen. It starts with an M.
Yeah.
But like,
we'll figure it out.
Yeah. It might come to me, but like, it's just, these podcasts I listen to as well. And, you find things that kind of just stick to you, whatever. And I thought it was really cool to be like, every year, just find something that's like, this is my one goal this year that like, I probably wouldn't have even considered last year, but I'm going to try. And if I do it, that's amazing. If I don't do it, at least I'm like bettering myself because I'm trying. And I try and I'm taking that into like, my years now to be like, I bought a year calendar. So it shows every month of the year, every day of the year. And we're trying to like plan out a year and be like, I really want to be intentional about what we're trying to achieve that year. Cause it is fun to look back on and be like, okay, we're getting better. And like, months fly by and days fly by when you're raising a family and stuff. And it's like, maybe you get through another year and like, I didn't really do that much. Like, not that I'm going to do that much, but like, I just didn't really like test myself that much this year. There's something really positive about like, it's probably more of an inner competition. It's not like I'm competing with anybody. I'm not like trying to be better than anybody in terms of like run further or like build more businesses, or I'm just like have this inner competition that I'm like kind of raising the bar. I don't know if that kind of relates to what you were saying before, but like there's definitely something towards like the way my brain ticks and like seeing how far I can go in terms of like the creative journey of like businesses, how they're run, how I'm structuring my life, what's fulfilling, but like, yeah, it's inner competition, I think.
I think so, yeah. And I do think you're right. It's healthy as long as it doesn't become like obsessive to the point of like derailing every other part of your life. I think it is healthy to have ambition and goals. And yeah, it's nice when you can look back on a year and be like, yeah, I moved the needle, or I went that little bit further. And like, I don't think anybody wants to stay stuck in a routine or stuck in the same place forever. I think we're naturally as humans always trying to go somewhere, right?
Yeah. And like, you can take anything too far. It's like, you can run too much. You can drink too much water. Like, it's like, you could like, it's just everything can be negative, but also everything can be positive. Like even stuff like social media and stuff like, it's like, yeah, you just have to know if you're making yourself better or if it's becoming a negative part of your life. Like, I think deep down if something's making you better. And like, if you should be moving up, but like, yeah, don't make it so that you're like your job's now sacrificed, your family's falling apart. Like just always have that bar, like a healthy raising the bar every year is good. It's fulfilling.
I agree. Left turn back to saunas.
Yeah.
I mean, I think as somebody that sort of makes digital things for a living, like I definitely identify in the creative realm, right? But when you're making digital kind of videos and photos and things, there's not very there's no tactile element to it anymore other than this part. So I've really enjoyed things that I can get my hands on. Yeah. So, cooking lately, like now that we have a bigger house that needs a lot of work, like, just building things around the house or making cabinets or whatever, building a desk, trying to make some things. And I haven't been particularly successful at that, but I really admire the craftsmanship around building things from wood in particular. And it's something that's really occupied a lot of attention in my head, not as a business idea, but as a creative idea, something that I want to get better at. And so when I saw, what you were doing with building the sauna, like, oh, that's so cool. Like, imagine being able to do that. And was that a background you had, or is that something you just went, let's just build this and figure it out? Or,
well, yeah, there's a few things. I definitely, resonate with the sometimes you don't get as much satisfaction out of the digital world of a day of work. But like when you're a carpenter, you can be like, oh, look what I built. It's there. And like, look how symmetrical everything is. And look how perfect all my cuts were. Like there's definitely something just a bit more tangible about the building process with your hands. And Charlie is my business partner, is definitely the one running the show with the build. But over COVID, I lost my job. I was in hospitality. And I started a carpentry apprenticeship, and I was like, I definitely want to get better at this. I want to own properties. I want to have the skills to go and do this stuff. And, I realized how much I didn't know. I sucked at it for a while. Like I was brutal, and I got to be okay. And, I know how to use the tools, and I know how, like, I'm not going to be leading any projects, but I can add value on a site now. And, it is very satisfying. I mean, I don't want to do it every single day, all day building, but like, I love getting my hands in there and doing it, on like a project based, timeline like that, where it's like, okay, we're going to do this over the next 2 months. We have a start goal and an end goal. It's amazing. Every day you leave and you're like, look what we did. And I love the wellness side of things, because there is a lot of like aesthetics that come into making people feel like there's like the aesthetics behind wellness, where it's just like, there's a reason why spas always have like perfect lighting and like amazing rounded edges and like perfectly constructed front. Like it's like everything about it has to be aesthetically pleasing, because it's part of the wellness journey. So like saunas, like, you use super high end wood, and the building practices are like so like perfect. Like everything has to be perfect. And, I think that's a really cool thing to dig your teeth into, is like building something that's, you don't just slap it together and be like, oh, it's good enough. It's like, no, there's definitely a rhyme or reason to like everything we're doing.
that is, I didn't think about that intentionality, but yeah, when you're building a space around the idea, I guess, of hygge, which is also interesting that we don't have words in English to reflect, that feeling and of whatever exactly however you translate that is, but that sort of wellness meets comfort meets.
So just what you're saying, hygge, that's literally like what hygge came from.
Of course, yeah.
It's our names, but also like I just read the book, The Danish Way of Life, hygge, and what you're saying is exactly like, we took that tone of like lighting and like just those like intangible feelings you get from a lit fireplace. Like why does it feel so comfortable with the right lighting and a fireplace and like a blanket and a book? Like there's like that human element to like aesthetic that we don't really even know about or think about. It's just there.
And I wonder about that, because North America, everything's sort of about like efficiency and quality and all, but we're lacking that kind of emotional component to things, I find. And in other cultures like Japanese or, Finnish or Danish culture around these saunas or interior design or whatever it might be, there are words to describe feelings that we don't have those words. And it's the whole idea of like saunas and like even like I think it's in Sweden, the fika, like the coffee movement. It's like a time of day to take a break. Yeah. Even that has an aesthetic. It's not just about taking a break. It's like a way of doing things. It's like you have like a candle and like you're having your coffee and you're in a certain kind of space with a certain warmth and ambiance and visual quality to it and a simplicity, and that gives you a feeling. And it's like, we just don't have that word. We're just like Starbucks. Like I'll get a, venti, whatever to go and walk down the street with it. It's like that element of comfort and emotional quality, I think, is really cool. And building that literally building it into something is powerful.
It is. And like, you're right. I mean, I think one thing I'm trying to take in as I get older is just living with more intention in general, like with everything I do. Because I think when you think about all those little details, you actually do like you make your life better. Like your life will be better by like even thinking about like what kind of clothes you're going to put on your body. Like even like where are they sourced from? What kind of material are they? Like literally everything in your life could be like intentionally purchased or built or whatever to be like, what do I actually care about? And it's fun to ask those questions and to like, you know, find maybe I'm just more petty than I thought I was, but I do care about a lot of the little details of my life. And I'm definitely getting better at like building my life to be exactly how I want it to be. And it makes me happy. And like, honestly, a lot of it revolves around having a lot less things. My wife and I are like constantly decluttering, like just getting rid of things. I mean, I have things around my house right now that I'm like donation bins and marketplace and taking to one of our properties. And it's like, just, I don't need any of that. Like, it's actually not making me happier. It's actually, if anything, stressing me out.
We were looking at something, a photo of like some interior design thing came up in my Facebook feed as it does, but it was a Japanese home and it was really well appointed. It was really nice, not probably normal in that sense. It was well designed and really nice, but so simple, right?
Yeah.
Even the idea, like anytime I've stayed in Japan in a traditional sort of home, you know, the idea that you roll up your bed and put it away in the morning, and then now you have that space for something else is fantastically efficient, but also just so simple and eliminates a lot of stuff from your life that you just don't really.
100%. Like I even like started optimizing my closet. Like I was just like, I want like less decisions in the morning. So I'm just going to buy a lot of black t-shirts. And like, it's just funny. Cause like, even like that little like micro decision just to be like, I know what I'm going to get up and wear. Like, it's funny how like maybe that energy will go into something else. It's like, there's just all these micro decisions you're making every day. And if you can just simplify things by being like, I know what I like, I know what's going to make my life better. I'm just going to do that. And it's simple. And it's funny how it does translate into other areas of your life. Like maybe what you're saying, rolling up your bed, maybe now it's a yoga spot. And now maybe you stretch every day because you wouldn't have done that before, but you're like, I'm going to make that decision to do that. And now it's like an area for me to make my life better.
Or on like a very practical level, maybe you just don't need as much space. And so now you're saving a whole bunch of money. So now
100%, yeah.
Now your effort every day is not going to paying for all that wasted room or room that's being taken up by things that you thought you needed. Now you're spending less energy on maybe something you don't want to be doing so that you can gain it back for something else.
That's so true. That like, yeah, like that's a big part is like just having less, needing less, wanting less, working less, going out for more walks with your family. Like, it's like, it can translate so many different ways. That's a really good point there. That's like, do you need all that?
I'm going to go home and throw everything out.
I know.
Shouldn't say throw out, recycle and yeah.
I know. We feel like we're always decluttering. We're still like, we have so much stuff still. Like, how does this happen? We're actively trying to do that. And it's like, wow, like we're still things everywhere.
To full circle this back to the keeping up with the Joneses part of the conversation. I mean, we do naturally acquire things because that's just what we do. We see everybody around us doing it. And if we both went monk-like and rolled up our beds in the morning, our friends would all think we're crazy, you know? And so it's bizarre how, you know, even if you're a strong individual or somebody that values individuality, we still run with the herd. And
in certain senses. And then like maybe you shed those layers as you get older. I think you get older,
definitely.
You start giving way less. You start caring way less about what people think or what people are doing. You start like, you know what, like time's a ticking. I need to really dial in what I want to do. And my care level about what other people think goes down further and further every year. Not in a bad way. Not that I don't care about people. It's just like, I just don't have the energy or the time to be like worry about, like I really try and be like, this makes me happy. So I'm just going to do it.
Yeah. I feel you on that one. That's definitely where I'm at. And it's like, I always feel like I've been that way, but it is increasing.
It does. And like, I think it's another healthy thing. It like happens with age. It's like, you just get wiser about like where your energy goes. Maybe I don't need the energy to like even try and impress that person when I don't even like that person. Like I'm just going to like worry about like, actually this is making my life better. And like, maybe, yeah.
Since 2020, I feel like there's been a lot of that in the world where people were like, do I even need this or you know? And so things have really shifted more quickly than they would have in another time, I think, in that sense.
And like, I can bring this back to sauna again too. Cause like, I think there's so many aspects of the sauna. That's why I can talk about it all day, is because there is this like bringing back to traditional like ways of living, in the sense of like, you leave your cell phone, you know, you literally just go into like the sweat box with your friends or whatever, even by yourself sometimes. And you just sit there and be with yourself or be with your friends. And, you're tying it in with either nature. Like if you can we put the windows in for a very intentional reason. We want you to feel like you're in nature. Like I want you to be like connecting with the lake, what's it doing today? Like when it's floating, or like, I want put it in the forest, take it to a camp spot and like soak in the nature that's outside of the sauna, and like connect with your friends, like actually connect with them. Don't like send them an Instagram post, or like, you're actually with them with no distractions, having real chats. And those things are healthier than I think. People don't talk about that stuff as much, like the social part of it, or like the connecting with nature part with the sauna experience. I think that's just as important as any health benefit you're going to get. Like there's all these, studies around all-cause mortality and all these amazing benefits health-wise, but they don't talk as much about the social connection, or the simplicity of like going to sit in a space and just be with yourself.
It's amazing how we have to design that experience for ourselves now and remind ourselves to go to that place, whereas that's where we're from.
Yeah. And in another sense, people do bring up the word trend with it. I don't feel like it's a trend at all. I think we're tardy to the party. I think we just took way too long to integrate this into our lifestyles and in Canada. And, especially being a bit more of a northern climate, we do have colder winters, like as if we took this long just to figure it out. And I don't think it's going anywhere. Like, with the way that the world's going with like social media and more detachment from human beings, it's like we need that type of connection more than ever. And I think mixed with dopamine and health wise, it's like it's all coming full circle. Like people are want, need, and crave this more than ever. It's been around for thousands of years. We just didn't know it was an important part of our lifestyles until recently. It seems crazy. It took us this long.
For sure. And here we are.
Yeah.
But
I don't think it's a trend at all. I think it's like, it's here now. There's more saunas in Finland than cars. Like it's so into their lives. Like you buy a home with a sauna, or you buy a home and you bring in your sauna. Like it's
actually my big regret. I was in Finland in November one year, or December or something like that, right before COVID. And I didn't get to go in a sauna.
No way.
But I was working, and I probably could have found my way into one. But even in downtown Helsinki, there is a giant cold plunge pool, public pool.
So cool.
And sauna.
So cool.
That you can just go in the inner harbor, jump in, and then go in the sauna after.
Shout out BP Wood and Chris Bush. He's been sending me a bunch of stuff, and he sent me a text this morning of a snowboard contest happening in downtown Helsinki. And this boarder was, he went up and like did a front three tap over a sauna. Like, and this guy comes out of the sauna. He's like, what the fuck? But like, it's like built into the course. So like they're just like having saunas in the middle of a snowboard contest.
The most Finnish thing ever.
It's amazing. I was like, this is incredible.
That's right up your alley, actually.
That was I was like, thank you for sending that. That was a good little thing to see today. I definitely plan to get over there, and I will be going in a sauna for sure.
Absolutely. Finland is a place I have to get back to. I think that I just was there for too short, but I was lucky to get a little glimpse into a certain aspect of the culture there, and to get out of the city a little bit, and to be there at a time of the year where maybe it wasn't like a touristy time to be in Finland. So yeah, but I desperately want to go back.
Yeah, man.
And that culture around saunas is so cool. And I certainly saw them everywhere when I was in the countryside, but yeah, just didn't quite have the opportunity to get in one.
Yeah. We'll come back.
On that note, tell me what's next for you. So, you've created a couple of mobile saunas, you've built a floating sauna, and now you're rolling out some new ideas to the public that are going to be available for, building home saunas that kind of extends the business a little further. So tell me about that.
Yeah. So we wrapped up the floating sauna project. This is our first operating season, but once that wrapped up, we immediately started asking questions about what we wanted to do next. And, we want to continue building saunas and making it more accessible. So, we're going to make a bit of a turn here, and we're building a new brand, Stillhaus Sauna. We have our own designs now. We have 3 designs finalized. Building a new website with 3D rendering. You can put it in your backyard, see what it looks like before you buy it. We have a garage sauna that will be small enough to fit into most garages, but then we also have a commercial sauna that's 24 feet by 12 feet, It's going to be modular, so you can add on to it, kind of customize it that way of every 4 feet, 8 feet, you can kind of extend it. And yeah, we're trying to make everything very efficient, reduce that barrier of entry. We're going to have a, kind of a lower price range, a medium and a price range, and like a white glove price range. So hopefully find an option for anybody. We've also designed our own software. So we actually have a software for sauna operations. So if you're somebody that wants to get into the commercial sauna business, we can build you the sauna, set you up with a business model, and then build the sauna or the software for you on the back end for your booking system, memberships, whatever you want to do. So we're really just trying to make this a one-stop shop for your sauna operations, whether or just to get you into the residential sauna market. Like we have the designs are a big part of what we want to bring to the general public.
That's really cool. I mean, obviously the residential sort of potential is huge. There, a lot of people are going to want something like that in their home, and like you said, like this is an evolving movement and will become more popular. But also that commercial aspect is cool because it is potentially a great small business to get into, much like you could own like like I can think of Velofix, another also Naramata connection there, but a mobile bike shop or a mobile plumbing company or a mobile, knife sharpening business or any of these kind of things, a food truck, those are great entries to entrepreneurship for people with skills and the desire to start their own business. And that's a way that you can start with one thing, maybe turnkey and get into your own business, and then maybe have more of them or just really do well with the one. And I think that the commercial sauna aspect is something that could live in many locations and
with my rental background with, opening up or managing people's Airbnbs, we are trying to, like, we have a lot of ideas with this stuff. So we're like, bear with me as we try and figure everything out, but like we are introducing a hosting program. So we want to open up the opportunity if you have, for instance, if you own a vineyard in town and you want to try and continue on your foot traffic through the winter, we'll actually bring a sauna to your location and manage it for you and put it under our hosting program, similar to like an Airbnb. So the Airbnb of sauna, where we'll, hopefully even give businesses another way to become almost year round. The wine culture, I think, also taps into the sexiness factor of like, when you're on a winery, you do feel something that is inspiring when you're like on a vineyard that someone's planted and they're growing and then turning into a drink that you share at a dinner table. So I think bringing in the wellness side of things onto a vineyard, there's definitely a lane there. We just don't know exactly what it looks like, but we want to figure out how to get those two working together.
Very cool. Well, I wish you continued sweaty success. And for those out there that are watching this, where can we find you? Best place, website address, social media?
So by the time this comes out, I'm sure our website will be out. So it'll be www.stillhousesauna.com, or stillhousesauna is the Instagram handle. And we'll be documenting all of our builds. We have a couple of fun projects coming on right now. So we'll continue documenting all of our builds and kind of all our new releases and where we plan to go with commercial stuff as well.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for having me. Pleasure.